You are listening to an episode of Megan is not a parent, but. Today's episode is brought to you by Positive Parenting Class Pass. Positive Parenting Class Pass is my 6 simple positive parenting classes to kickstart your positive parenting journey. You can start today at bekindcoaching.com/classpass. In today's episode, we'll be chatting about the fantasy of what it takes to have a good relationship. So I invite you to get cozy, grab your notebook, and let's dig in. Welcome to Megan is not a parent, but the podcast where I, your host, Megan Ford, former early childhood educator turned positive parenting coach, helps parents just like you learn how to deal with your strong-willed child's difficult behavior. I've been described from my clients as a blend between Brene Brown and Miss Frizzle, you know, the one from the Magic School Bus. I help bring awareness and hold space for the hard conversations and make big concepts like behavior and relationships and temperaments easy to understand and easy to implement. If you're a parent who struggles with your child's loud, dramatic, disruptive, over-the-top behavior, but don't think a parenting coach would help you because those are just for the bad parent or those parents, then this episode is especially for you. I invite you to grab a journal, cozy blanket, a warm beverage, and enjoy what you're about to explore. Before we get into today's episode, I want to add a bit of a disclaimer. Today, there will be an exercise involved, meaning at the end of this episode, I'm going to be going back and forth with real people, real members, to go through an application of this content. It's something I've never done before here in the podcast environment. So this will be new. I'm learning as I go, but I just wanted to share that with you, that I'm live recording this right now on Zoom with the audience members who are here. And I've also shared this disclaimer with them in real time right now. And so I want to share it to you, the listener who's listening to this at a later date. I always give this disclaimer before this exercise because it often elicits big feelings. So I invite you, as you're listening, to be gentle with yourself in this practice, in this work, and this episode. With that to say, let's begin. Where I want to start today is this morning, I was on my morning ritual, as I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6:30 in the morning Eastern, and Tuesday, Thursdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. And I got so fired up. And after morning ritual, which actually inspired me to redo this entire episode, I came home and just went through and deconstructed everything that I was going to say and that I was going to do, and just massively up-leveled it to highlight the topic that we talked about on morning ritual, but really deconstruct it even more. So that's what I do. You're going to see my journal from this morning's ritual. We're going to walk through it from the adult's perspective and the child's perspective, and we're going to really dig into this before we get into that exercise that I had mentioned before. So on morning ritual, afterwards, I hopped on Marco Polo just to check in with my community members. And Tisha, who has joined, she was actually one of the people who had inspired me to do morning ritual on TikTok, now Instagram. Every morning, Tisha shared a meme, and I took a snapshot of it so that I could share it here at the beginning of the podcast, because I was like, wow, you didn't even know that I did it. And it's so in alignment. And that's the message that keeps coming back up for me, is that when we are in alignment, things feel good. When we are not in alignment, things feel hard. So when I saw this picture, this meme that I'm going to describe to you now, I thought, yes, okay. Because I had a little bit of doubts. I was like, man, you're going to really redo everything? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to redo everything. So the meme essentially has two people. People on the left are looking at a map going up a path, and what they see is the path in front of them has money and twists and turns, and it feels scary, and it feels like, oh, it's never ending. And on the right, they are seen on this path going to a house. And so the meme says, most people just want to be in the result and not in the process. And it's in the process where you realize you deserve to be in the result. And this meme she shared, she said, I saw this meme and I thought about morning ritual today. And I was like, yes, And you'll see why I actually used the metaphor of the house later on in this episode. And I thought, yes, like, right, you'll hear it from me often. Release the product, focus in on the process. The process is going to be scary. It is going to be twist and turny. It is going to be maybe all you see is the money in front of you, like, oh, how much is this going to cost me? And instead, I really want you to ground into that the process aligns you to get the product. And in the lane that we're talking about today, we're talking about this in the lane of relationships. And so just like a lot of the work that I do, I wanted to start it here and just, again, valuing, where are we focused? Are we focused on the process or are we focused on the product? And then do the work to realign our focus to be on the process. And it just was just such a big call out to me as just like, yes, Megan, keep going, because I do not help change children's behaviors. When parents come to me, they often lead with their child's difficult behaviors, that they're not listening, they're not doing the thing they want to do, that they're hitting their siblings, that they're saying bad words, that they're lying, that they're sneaking, that they're not cleaning up their toys, they're not being responsible. They lead with all of these things. And through the work that I do, is I don't help adults change their children's behavior. I help adults change their beliefs. And magically, when adults, the focus of their beliefs change, then naturally the behavior changes. Instead of focusing on this behavior lensed approach, I really advocate strongly for calling out gaps in our beliefs so that we can realign our beliefs. Going back to the meme, are we focused on how scary the process is going to be, and then that stops us from even starting? Or are we grounded and rooted into where we're going, knowing that it's going to be the process, knowing that there's going to be twists and turns, knowing that it's going to be highs and lows, knowing that it's going to be scary and activating and big, but it's going to be worth it because that's how you get to the result. Today, we are going to be exploring our beliefs about good relationships. And through this exploration, we're going to start to notice where things feel hard. We're going to start to notice where things feel stuck. We're going to start to notice where things feel constricted. And I invite you to explore that. I've found that it's especially hard if you focus on trying to have control over your children, which is why I want to help you learn what you should be focusing on instead. And we talk about this in the lens of relationships. We've been sold a fantasy. We've been sold that fantasy. We've been sold the fantasy of what's good. And I want you to think about, when you think about a good house or a good life, often what we come and envision is like the American dream of a white picket fence and a 2-car garage and 2.5 kids and the dog. And even for me, it'd be me in a hammock, right? We're sold the product. The product is sold to us. Even in marketing my business, there is a phrase that says, sell them what they want, give them what they need. You're sold the fantasy over and over and over again. And what I've found is that, sure, it's super attractive. Yeah, I want my kids to listen to me. Yeah, I want siblings fights to end. Yeah, I want a respectful child. And instead, what happens is that when we're sold that fantasy, and then it's like, whoa, it's a long process, I've noticed that people drop off very quickly. Whoa, this isn't what was sold to me. It feels like a little bit of a bait and switch. Wow, this is really hard. Why do they make it seem so easy? That's what I get told. And then when we're like, yeah, let's settle in and let's reinvest our focus, instead of all of the shiny details, let's reinvest our focus down to the foundation. Then we can start to build security. We can build a solid place and a solid foundation to stand on. And so I ask you, when you think about the foundations of your relationship with your child, how safe is your foundation? How you can do a quick assessment is how quickly are you triggered into anger and react by yelling? How quickly are you triggered into anger and react by taking something away? How quickly are you triggered into your own defenses, where you're interpreting your child's behavior as bad and wrong, and you shift very quickly to stomp it out, to stop it, to punish it? I found that that's a pretty accurate assessment to how solid the foundation is. And just like if we found cracks in our foundation in our home, we would want to remediate that. I'm here to help families do that in their family relationships, because those cracks in the foundation, the more decorations and fantasy we put on it, the more stress the foundation gets put under. And then big things can happen. Fractures can happen. Erosion can happen. Estrangement can happen. Divorce can happen. When those elements of circumstances get in, we want to do the work to make sure that your foundation is protected, just as you would for your house. So that when weather happens, when it rains, when it thunders, when there's a tornado, that you know that you have a safe space to go. And that's the work that I help parents do for their children. So what does, when you think about a good relationship and you think about the fantasy of a good relationship, what does that evoke to me? Or to you, rather, not to me. To you. What does a good relationship look like to you? We're going to go over this part. This part is just a little excerpt from Raising Respectful Kids. Did you hear it? Did you hear how I sold you what you wanted, and then I'm going to give you what you need? I'm going to sell you respectful kids. And then surprise, we're working on your foundations. In Raising Respectful Kids, I describe the fantasy of the good relationship as easy, as instinctual, as rewarding, fun, picture perfect. If I am doing a good job, it looks like this. If I'm doing a good job, it looks easy. It looks, like I'm just like tapped into my motherly instincts. It's rewarding. Like my kids are just coming home with straight A's, and we're celebrating, and everything is just magic. A good relationship is like lots of vacations, celebrations together. We're supportive of each other. We're respectful of each other. We're connected to each other, right? It's like brings to mind all of the Instagram influencers in the parenting lane. Like, look at what I can do. Easy steps to get your kids' shoes on. 1, 2, 3, right? They're selling you the product. They're selling you the outcome. And what I often encounter is that sometimes when I see that, then I start to feel very inadequate. I used the tips and it didn't work. I did what they said and it didn't work. It must mean that I don't have a good relationship. My kid cries all the time. Must mean that I'm hurting our relationship. I have mistakes that I make. Must mean that I'm hurting our relationship. Why? Because the product that we're sold, the fantasy that we're sold, is missing the struggle. That's the unsexy part. We don't want to talk about that. I've even literally been said, Megan, the reason why more parents don't work with you is because you are not palatable enough. I'm going to say that again. I have been told on several occasions that, Megan, more parents do not work with you because you are not palatable enough. And you know what I hear is more parents don't work with me because they are glued to wanting the fantasy. They don't want to talk about the struggle. They don't want to talk about, they don't even want to bring it to light. Just tell me what to do and I'll go do it. I'm in the business of helping you understand it so then it becomes less of a threat. We understand what's going on. We understand the elements at play, and then we understand the framework that can help us navigate through it. I've found that when parents can understand it, the threat lowers. Then they're able to access their rational, logical mind faster. They're able to make higher quality decisions. They're able to see true growth. When they're focused on the process, they're not scared of the twists and turns. They're expecting them. They're preparing for them. They're navigating it in support. And that's what I want to talk about today, because I know that good relationships are not without struggle, that good relationships have struggle, that good relationships involve conflict, and good relationships resolve that conflict in healthy ways. Not in permissive ways where I'm going to solve the conflict by saying, come on, you're fine. I'll just fix it. Give it to me. Come on, give it to me. I'll do it. That's a permissive strategy. A permissive strategy is it's my job to fix it for them. My job to remove all uncomfortableness from their life. My job is to make sure that they are happy, that they are comfortable at all times. That's a permissive mindset. An authoritarian mindset is you're fine, you're being too sensitive. Come on, you're fine, hop up, no big deal. Shake it off, go on, get back to it. That's an authoritarian mindset. Both are from the adult's perspective. They leave the child alone in it. Either I'm going to learn as a child, I'm going to learn to outsource my struggles to other people to fix, not becoming empowered in my own, or I'm going to be feeling like I just need to solve all my problems 100% on my own, because if I share it with anyone, I'm going to be rejected. When we remove or shut down the struggle, we remove or shut down the opportunity for recovery. When we ignore the struggle or we minimize the struggle, we're literally removing the opportunity to navigate through the struggle together. When we see that long process ahead of us and we're like, oh, nope, let's just do the shortcut. And trust me, I've had people throw lots of money at me trying to shortcut their way to a fantasy relationship. I'm talking scared that their child is going to swing from a Italian chandelier, that they've just tried to throw money at the problem to make it go away. And I've had to be very gentle in my approach to say, well, how can we support that so that that's not even an option? I'm holding the parents accountable. I'm stepping in and saying, you can do this. If you choose to say, okay, I am going to do this work and value in the process. Strong relationships involve that song and dance. The song and dance of rupture and repair, where I'm not scared of the rupture anymore because I understand the rupture. I understand what to do with the rupture. I'm not scared of it anymore. It's not a threat to me anymore. When my child cries, it's not a threat to me. When my child says no, it's not a threat to me. When my child is saying, I don't like it when you talk to me, it's no longer a threat. It's actually an invitation to step into repair. I know what to do here now. Now I'm able to have a secure foundation through the elements where I'm empowered, and now I'm empowering them. And this song and dance influences the quality of attachment, which is next week's episode, talking about how attachment theory is not the same as attachment parenting. Attachment is the bond between a parent and child, where the child can come to the parent and have a safe place to land. And they can also launch back into the world from the parent, where the parent is the person who is safe, seen, soothing, and secure. So the child can bring the stress and struggle to the parent, and the parent helps work with the child in a collaborative process in a sensitive, soothing way. So then the child has confidence to launch and go back out into the world. The image that comes to mind is the playground. If you've ever been on the playground where a child is running, falls down, runs over, gets a hug and a kiss, and then goes back to playing. That's what I'm talking about, where the child knows that you are the safe person for them to come to, You're going to fill their needs. You're going to be sensitive to their needs. And then they're going to be able to go back out with confidence. Dan Siegel is quoted as saying, "How loved or unloved we feel as children deeply affects the formation of our self-esteem and self-acceptance. It shapes how we seek love and whether we feel part of life or like an outsider." What I have found is that the people who feel like a part of life understand the process, understand that ruptures and repair is part of the process, understand that my goal is to get on the same page as you, not to control you. Where now I'm not seeing your behavior as a threat to me, but an invitation to connect to you. I know that people who are feeling part of it, who feel confident in it, they're people who are valuing the process, as opposed to a more product-based approach. People who value that product, oh, well, once I get this job, then I'll be happy. Or once I get this car, then I'll be happy. Or when we go on this vacation, then that means that we'll be happy. When we value the product and we ignore the process, that tends to leave us feeling more like an outsider. And I see this running rampant in the parenting space. I see it in back to schools. I see it in first day of school photos. I see it throughout the year when we're talking about honor roll and accomplishments. I see it when parents come to me feeling like, oh, I've had parent teacher conferences again. That's when my consult calls start to go up. When I'm feeling like the outsider and I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, I've been trying my best, I need something else. It's when I've been valuing the product. And then when parents come to me in that state, it's very hard to then start at the process to say, yeah, we can get you this. Here are the steps. That's actually why I did not enroll any new members during 2020, because everybody was in a panic. They were grasping for product. They wanted the product. It was very challenging to see this as the process. It would have been not helpful to see this as a process. So at the time, they were in triage mode. This work truly to make profound change and to do deep work of being a safe caregiver, that's deep intentional work. So how I want to contextualize this concept even more is by sharing my journal from this morning's morning intentions, morning ritual. Like all of those labels came colliding together in my brain. This morning's morning ritual. And what we were talking about was, where is our focus? And we talked about how I was doing it outside and I could focus on the birds chirping, and that I use that as a time to train my focus. What am I focusing to? Because I'm going to practice it in these moments so that I can use it in stress and struggle moments. Am I connected and focusing on establishing connection, or am I stressed and focused on connecting to the struggle? And so the example that we talked through on the video was that it's wintertime and your child wants to wear shorts. It's a very common grievance, right? Or they don't want to wear a coat, or they don't want to carry their umbrella and it's raining, or they want to wear a winter coat and it's summer. We could substitute in so many different details, but essentially the story that we're going to state to, the lens that we're going to stay to right now, is that it's winter and your child wants to wear shorts. So we're going back and forth with this. And I was like, well, let's just draw it out. Let's draw it out so that we can illustrate the points. So I want you to picture the piece of paper, and on the piece of paper are two stick figures. On the left is the adult, and on the right is the child. And so on the left, the adult is saying, it's cold, wear pants. And on the right, the child is saying, but I'm not cold, right? Natural. Probably happens a lot of times. It's time for dinner. I'm not hungry. We're going to the park. I don't want to go outside. It's all of these times, right? Where I'm telling and you're telling. We're going to take this through both perspectives. The first perspective I'm going to take this through is the adult, right? The question is, what are we focused on? And are we aware of where we're focusing on? So in this example, We're going to take it through the adult's lens. So as we talked through this, we noticed that the adult's focus controls the adult's behavior. And when we are not aware of where we're focusing, we're not aware of how our behavior, how our parenting methods are impacting the person in front of us. So here in this example, the adult's focus is, I know what's right for you. If you've watched the Understanding Us series, I talk about this perspective switch inside of phase 2, the Understanding Your Child class. When we're focused in the I knows, then we're starting to root there. When we take that lens and focus and apply it to being in the relationship with the child, now their focus, I know, the relationship to the child is, I must get them to listen to me. So that naturally guides our behavior. When we say, it's cold, wear pants, and the child says, I'm not cold, what does that naturally lead us to do? It invites us to double down. We start then trying to convince the child. And we say things like, well, it's 32 degrees outside, you're going to catch a cold. You can't go outside dressed like that. You're going to be so cold, you're going to freeze. We're doubling down. We've missed the cue. We've missed the opportunity. The child's advocating for their autonomy. And then we double down. We say, you're going to be cold. We're trying to convince the child. So then what happens? The child follows the adult's lead. And the child says, oh, we're doubling down. Cool. I'll double down too. And even if they're cold, even if they're shivering, even if they go outside and they're like, nah, I don't like how this feels, they're going to come back and they're going to say, no, I'm fine. This is great. Actually, I'm hot. You know what brings up? Have you ever watched the movie Bridesmaids with Kristen Wiig? Do you know the story with the Jordan almond, the scene with the Jordan almond where everyone has food poisoning? And here, the other woman, I forget her name, the brunette, she's like, are you okay, to Kristen Wiig's character? And Kristen Wiig's character is like, yeah, I'm fine. And she's visibly sweating and she looks like she's going to vomit everywhere. And then the other character holds up the jar, the container, and is like, oh, are you hungry? And so Kristen Wiig's like, yeah, actually I'm starving, and takes, even though she has food poisoning, she takes the Jordan almond out of it, and you just watch her painfully eat it because she's holding on to it. She's in full defense mode. She's in activation. She's like, you're telling me nope, because you are not a safe person. That's what this reminds me, where the child now follows the adult's lead. And when we talked through this during morning ritual, a person in the live shared, that they are just pretending to not be cold. They also said that the child always has to be in control, that the child is advocating for themselves, that the child thinks that they're the boss. And maybe these are some thoughts that have come up in your mind during these moments. Oh, why are you being so difficult? Why is it always like this? Why can't you just do it? Your sister does it fine. Why can't you do it? Right? Our behavior as adults are focused down into our beliefs. And if we believe I must get them to listen to me, then it would make sense that the child is just pretending. And I said, I'm going to challenge that thought. I'm going to challenge that thought. It's easy from our perspective, when we stay in the adult's perspective, it's easy to think those things. But when we switch it and we start to see things from the child's perspective, it tends to paint another picture. But what keeps us blocked in these moments is that we see that defiance. We see that power struggle. We see them not listening to us, not doing it how we would do it, or not doing it how we want them to do it. And we interpret it as a threat to our authority, a threat to our power, a threat to us leaving on time, a threat to our resources, time, energy, money. We see initial threat, and then we start responding in that threat response. Why? Because our brain is perceiving that threat. and it naturally activates those defenses. And when we are activated into defense, it will block connection. There's no connection to be had because now I'm activated in a threat response, right? Fight, flight, freeze, fawn. If you remember back to the series where I broke those all down, our brain is designed to do that work. And if we're not aware of it, then we're not able to regulate our own self, so then we can co-regulate with the child. Going back, a lot of this work that the child looks to the adult to do this work. The child is taking their cues from the adult. When the adult escalates, the child's going to escalate. When the adult de-escalates, the child's going to de-escalate. Not for product, but for process. So now we've seen that perhaps the adult here is feeling the threat, activating and kicking into the defense, like in that threat response. And now let's flip it and let's see it from now the child's perspective. So now we're going to go through the whole scenario again. And now I want you to reshift your focus to the child's perspective. They have a parent that says, it's cold, wear pants. The child says, oh, no, I'm not cold. I'm not cold. I want to wear shorts. The child's focus is going to control the child's behavior. Guess what the child's focused on? I know what's right for me. You tell me all the time, Mom, listen to my body. It's my body, my choice. I'm telling you, I'm not cold. I want to wear shorts. When we take this lens of the child in relationship to the adult, now the child is thinking, I got to get them to listen to me. Why aren't they listening to me? Do you see how we're mirroring each other back? The child's like, oh yeah, I know, and I'm not cold and I don't want to wear shorts. So then when the child or when the adult doubles down and says, you're going to be cold, now the child follows the adult lead and says, well, I'll double down too. No, I'm fine. I'm not cold. Even if I am, I'm not going to say it. It took a while here. It took a while here to say, why is the child not pretending? If the child is not pretending, what is the child doing? Here, the child's behavior is stemming from their belief. What is the child's belief here? The child's belief is, this is my body. The child's belief is, I'm not cold. The child's belief is, they think they're the boss of me. And then it naturally guides their behavior. The child is cold if they're shivering, if you start to see their lips turning blue or their hands turning red. If you start to see them visibly struggling, they are cold. They're saying they're fine, not because they're pretending. They're saying they're fine because they're justifying. Why? Because they are advocating. They're saying, see me, hear me, understand me. The reason why they kick on those defenses is because they do not feel seen. They do not feel heard. They do not feel understood. Our behavior, that external that we see, is always a reflection of our thoughts, our feelings, and more importantly, our beliefs. That's why a lot of my content, a lot of my work is helping parents get below the beliefs. I can give you behavior changes. I can give you behavior swaps. A member, Danny, of my community inside of phase 3, I shared a video of her. She said, Megan probably knows the answers. And she was right. I do. I know the answers. I could tell you X, Y, and Z, do this. Here's the prescription. Go follow it to a T. And you would do it. It would be great. You wouldn't know how to do it without my help. You wouldn't know how to do it if I wasn't telling you. How do I know that I've done it? Because I've done it before. I've played bug in ear. I've literally been on consults when their kids come into the consult call with me and we're listening through earbuds. And I said, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to feed you lines right now. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. It's like I'm directing their body. And you know, if they say to me, holy shit, that worked. And I say, yes, of course it worked, because I'm operating from my beliefs. My work is to help parents realign their beliefs so that their behavior reflects their beliefs. And now we're going to switch this and we're going to apply it. We're going to start to see it in action. We're going to see it come to into life. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that with my volunteers, Chelsea and Shannon, and anyone else who wants to volunteer. You can participate if you're live on Zoom. You can participate by writing in the chat. You can participate by coming off mic. We're going to walk through this together. How are we going to do this? I don't know, but we're going to figure it out. Brain break moment. All right. I know that I can go deep way fast. So let's just take a pause here to take a deep breath in and let it out. And listen while I let you know that this episode is brought to you by me, Megan, and my Positive Parenting Class Pass. Positive Parenting Class Pass are 6 simple positive parenting classes to kickstart your positive parenting journey. Those classes include Positive Parenting 101, which is a class that is just designed to give you the first steps in what positive parenting is and what it is not. Second class is Emotional Validation. In this class, we dig into how can we show up to have your child feel seen and heard in their lived experience. The third class is Setting Boundaries, all about communicating, enforcing, and allowing testing of your secure and consistent and firm boundaries. The fourth class is a class called Ending Entitlement. Inside of this class, we dig into how we are showing up using tools of entitlement and how we can start to release those tools and begin practicing tools of empowerment and choice. And we know that what we put down, they're going to pick up. The fifth class is a class all about natural consequences. This is a class that gets very clear and you'll walk away knowing what an imposed consequence is, what a logical consequence is, and most importantly, how to begin utilizing natural consequences so your children begin learning from their lived experience. And the final class is a class all about apologizing. I like to say that connection is the most skipped over step and recovery is the least utilized step. So in that step, you'll start to learn how to show up and use impactful and effective apologies so that your child knows that you see them and hear them and care about them. If you are looking to begin your journey today, then I highly encourage you go to bekindcoaching.com/classpass and dig into the classes starting today. As my free gift, you will receive Raising Respectful Kids, which is my 3-part video series all about how to stop focusing on adding on more decorations to your child and to you and to your relationship, and instead starting to reinforce and build a solid and secure foundation together. I can't wait to hear all of your amazing wins from the steps that you take inside of Positive Parenting Class Pass. All right, ready to get back to our episode? Before we get back, let's take one more deep breath together. And take a deep breath in and let it out. And let's go. Hey, Shannon, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah. My name is Shannon. I'm a mom of 2. I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old, just turned 1. And I've been working with Megan for a little bit over a year now. Wife, nurse, mom, dog lover. I don't know.
Thank you. I'm glad when I posed this out, I'm like, I've never done this before, but I'm open to trying. And I love that you were like, all right, I'll give it a go. So thank you for being here. Chelsea, are you here? Do you want to give a quick introduction?
Sure. I'm Chelsea. I have one child who is very strong-willed, and I have been working with Megan for about a year. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. Yeah, great. Now you know the voices. Now you know who's here. All right. So what I'm going to ask from Chelsea and Shannon and to everyone listening, I'm going to give you the directions and then we're going to walk through this. This is an exercise that I actually often do on TikTok Live. And this is where I say, This is going to be activating and maybe activating to you because we might start to see ourselves being reflected back at us. We're going to start to see our methods, right? We've been building on this concept that parent is different than parenting, and that we are focused on digging into our methods and evolving our methods. So for this exercise, I need 5 common power struggles. If you're here on chat, you can leave it into the chat. And then if Chelsea and Shannon, if you want to come off mute, you can just share. I'm just looking for 5 common, say, products. Let's say we're gonna align it to what are the common products we want. So it could look like cleaning up toys, could look like brushing teeth, bath time struggles, any times that you've been noticing the struggle. All right, Shannon already said putting on shoes, brushing teeth, going to bed. Okay. Leaving somewhere fun, and then screen time. Ooh, screen time is such a good one. Okay, those are our goals. That's what I am going to do. So now for this exercise, we're going to be rooted down there. We are going to be focused on putting on shoes, brushing teeth, going to bed, leaving somewhere fun, and then ending screen time. Okay. If yours didn't make this list, I just encourage you to stay open and ask yourself, how does this apply? Again, these are the 5 common power struggles that I just sourced live here, but it can be applied widely. Putting on shoes, brushing teeth, going to bed, leaving somewhere fun, ending screen time. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to show up. I'm going to be the parent. You are going to be the child. You are going to be on the receiving end of my methods. We're going to do this 4 different times. And after each time, I'm going to stop and pause, and I'm going to invite reflection. What I'm going to be asking in reflection, you're going to hear Chelsea and Shannon process this out with me on microphone. But what I want you to notice is I want to ask you to think about, do you as the child have a sense of safety, or do you as the child have a sense of threat? I'm also going to ask, where was my focus as the adult? Was I focused on the task, or was I focused on connecting to the child? And then I'm going to ask the child, for you, again, you'll hear Chelsea and Shannon's voice, but for you as a listener now, I want you to reflect back and say, okay, was I focused on the task, or was I invited into justification, just as we saw in the example before? So this is the first time. This is the first series of methods that I'm going to use, okay? Okay, bud, we got to go. You need to go get your shoes on. All right, it's time for bed. Let's go get your teeth brushed. And then after that, it's time to go to bed. It's bedtime. Let's go. Oh, our time at the park is gone. I know, we're going to go home now. Can you go clean up your toys in the sandbox so that we can go? It's time for us to go home now. It's lunchtime. And then after lunchtime, it's nap time. All right, let's turn off the screens, all the screens. You've been on screens all day. Your brain is going to turn to mush. Let's turn them off. Come on, let's go. All right, that was my first round. How'd I do? Shannon, Chelsea, how'd it feel for you? You can come off microphone, off mute.
When you were like, my brain's going to turn to mush, I was like, oh, really? How so? How's my brain going to turn to mush?
So, I love that. Yeah. Chelsea, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I just don't care. I don't care if my brain turns to mush. I'm not leaving. I'm having fun. Leave me alone.
So, yeah. How would you describe my methods in that? Like, was I being mean? Was I being strict? Was I being nice? Was I being direct?
It was not mean, but it was also not direct. And it made me think, I can push this.
Shannon?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I was like, you kept saying them, and I was like, no. no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to stop doing what I'm doing. I don't want to do like just easy to ignore it
Mm,
and keep going.
yeah. So where would you say my focus as the adult was? On the task or on you?
The task that you want done.
Yep, the task. So when I'm nice or direct, would you say that you had a sense of safety in that, or a sense of threat?
Yeah, it didn't feel like a threat at all. It was just words coming out of your mouth.
Okay, so you didn't feel threatened, but what was at threat? Or like when you said, Chelsea, I don't even care. So what was threatened is like, I don't even need to care about this. So maybe like your involvement was threatened a little bit there. Were you focused on doing the task, or were you focused on justifying?
Justifying, because I'm going to say whatever I have to do to get more time doing whatever it is that I'm doing.
So that was the threat, was me taking it back. Like taking it away, limiting whatever it was, limiting your joy. That was that threat. And you're like, I'm going to fight for it. I'm going to justify for it. So overall, was I getting you closer to doing the thing or further away from doing the thing?
Just kind of neutral, I feel like. Easy to ignore. Wasn't a lot of involvement or engagement. It was just kind of like, okay. And then I continued doing what I was doing.
Yeah, I'm further away. Now I know you want me to do something and I'm not going to do it. So I'm further away.
Ooh, I love that you said that. Now I know you want me to do it, and I'm going to take like giant steps back.
I am running to the very top of the playground, and the only way you're getting me down is if you come up and get me.
I feel that. Yeah, I laugh. So then, okay, so now we're going to end there with that. When we're going to say like, okay, being nice and direct, me being focused on the task, the child being focused on justification, like ineffective, did not get us closer to where we're going. So I found that in these moments is when we then go into being like saying please a lot, right? Now I'm like, okay, I'm going to say it. I've said it once and you're not doing it, right? Chelsea is like all the way at the top. And now I'm going to go into like my next phase up where I'm going to like get into a space where I'm going to say things like, come on, can you please don't do this to me today? I just really need you to get your shoes on. Can you just please do it? I've already asked you. I don't want to ask you again. Can you just please go get your shoes on? Come on, let's go get the sugar bugs out of your teeth. I know it's time to brush your teeth. You don't want those cavities coming. Do you remember if you get the cavities, what will happen? Yeah, we don't want that. We need to go upstairs and brush our teeth, please. All right, come on. It's bedtime. Let's go. I know we've been such a long day. I can tell because you're whining, you're tired. You had so much fun today, but oh yeah, your body is saying, I need sleep. So let's go to sleep, please. Come on. Let's just have a bedtime without fights tonight. Wouldn't that be so nice? Oh my gosh, I know you've had so much fun at the park, but it's time to go. So can we just please go get the toys cleaned up so that we can get in the car and go? I'm saying it nice. Can you just please go listen to me? All right, we've done our screen times. Can you just please turn it off? I know it's time to turn it off. Can you just please? I don't, no. I don't want, nope. I'm just trying to keep us on track today. We got to go pick up your sister. We got to go to the store. So screen times are off now. If you turn it off now, you can have some more, maybe later. You can have another episode later. So let's stop there. I'm going to invite Chelsea and Shannon back. What were your thoughts in that? What was your experience?
I wrote down a couple things. I wrote down, what the hell are sugar bugs? No, I'm not tired. I'm not tired. A bedtime without fight. Who's fighting? I'm not fighting. You're fighting. I don't want to pick up my sister or go to the store. And then you said something about later. Well, when is later? What time is later? How much time am I going to have later? What time is later going to be? Is later today? Is later tomorrow? What's later?
Chelsea, how about you?
I am now thinking about having to go to the dentist and what it means to have a cavity and how much I'm not going to like that. And I'm no closer to getting the objective done that you want done.
So would you say, was I like conveying a sense of safety in you or a sense of threat?
I think threat. I think there are silent threats in there that if you don't do this, something bad is going to happen.
I love how you said that, silent threats.
Ping, anxiety.
How would you describe me?
Like pleading.
Yeah, begging.
Stephanie in the chat says that one makes me feel too powerful. Like I'm about to find out what else I can do, get, cause. Like it's like a leveraging, like the child starts to feel like, oh wait, I can leverage this. So what was my focus?
The task.
Pleading for the task, or negotiating, or begging.
What about your focus?
Justifying.
I'm still justifying.
I'm not tired. Who's fighting? And I don't want to do, I don't want to go to the store. I don't want to pick up sister.
Yeah. So now it's like, again, like I've invited you. And this is where I've seen parents come to me and say like, well, I've tried positive parenting. I've tried gentle parenting. And when they tell me what they were doing, they're doing that. They've changed their tone to a high pitched tone. They're saying the word please. They're saying it really nicely. And then it's invoking the same response for the child. That's why I say it's not about having positive intentions. It's about having positive impact. So even though I was saying it nice, even though my tone was up, even though I was trying to offer you something like negotiating and leveraging, it was still having an impact that was not positive. It was not where I want it to go. So now, third time, how might the adult be feeling?
I think I'd be frustrated because like we've asked now and then we've pleaded. And so it's like, well, why aren't you just doing the thing? And so now like what can happen is like that escalation to, well, now maybe I'm going to go and yell, or I'm going to, well, I'll take the iPad away, or we'll take the TV away.
Yeah. So that's where I'm going now. Exactly. So now we can start to track how we ourselves end up there. Maybe we've been direct. Maybe we've told them. Maybe we've invited them to justify. So then we shift into doing that nicely, to be the nice person. And then we're again shifting them back into justification. Those two methods are the same method, just said differently. It just had a different delivery, but it was the exact same system. It was, I know, I got to tell you, I'm focused on the task, and now you're focused on justifying. So now, just like you said, Shannon, and Stephanie in the comments, she said, I feel frantic in these moments. Like, what do I need to do to get this done? And Chelsea said, very frustrated. Yes. So that's where I'm going to now flip my lid, and I'm going to say things like, if you don't put on your shoes, I'm going to throw them in the trash, because clearly you don't want shoes. You don't want to wear shoes. It's fine. You just walk barefoot everywhere. You can go to the store. And they're going to say, sorry, you can't come in here to Target because you don't have shoes on your feet. And I'm going to say, well, I tried to tell him to put shoes on his feet, but he didn't want to put shoes on his feet. So now he's not going to have shoes on his feet. Oh my God, go brush your teeth. Why do we do this every single night? Why are you so difficult? It's not that hard to go just brush your teeth. You know what? I don't even care if you brush your teeth. If you don't, then I am going to take you to the dentist, and they are going to have to drill. And maybe then you'll feel the pain, and then you'll say, oh, my mom knew what was right. My mom told me to brush my teeth. I'll listen to my mom next time. Maybe then you'll do that. Go to bed. If you don't get in the bed right now, I'm going to take your nightlight. I will take it. I know you don't like being in the dark. So if you want to keep it on, you're going to go march right back to your room. You're going to get right back in bed. Go. If you do not leave this park right now, I cannot believe that you're doing this in front of everyone. Go put your toys in the sandbox, get your things, and then we're walking to the car. I cannot believe that you pulled this on me today in front of everyone. You know, I planned this play date special for you. And this is how you act. If you don't get in the car right now, there will be no screen time. Ever. I will give your iPad to a child who will respect it. And they will respect their parents. Because right now, that's not you. We're going to take a pause there. How'd that go? Did I get you to do the thing?
Ooh, girl, yeah.
Did I get you to do the thing from a sense of safety or from a sense of threat?
Threat.
I'm just going to say you did not get me to do the thing, and now I'm ready for a fight. Now I'm going to make sure that everyone knows that you're having a hard time, that we're all having a hard time. And instead of being at the top of the playground, I'm sitting on the very top of it. I'm climbing my way up.
I've kicked in Chelsea's fight response.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm ready to fight.
I'm going down.
I'm screaming. I'm on the ground kicking. Probably crying along with it.
I hate you. You're the worst.
Yep. You are the worst. You're the worst parent in the world.
I'm not going to
no
live
longer
in this
a part of your
Oh,
family.
yep. I'm not going to live here anymore. I'm going to go get my stuff and I'm going to pack them. And then what do? We're like, good, go.
I had pushback at first. I was like, go ahead, throw my shoes in the trash. I hate them anyway. And I told you I didn't want to go Target. And then like when you started to get into the teeth brushing, I was like, I need your help. Like I can't do this. But then when you started talking about the drill, I was like, I'm scared. Then you talked about the nightlight and I was like, I'm scared. And then you talked about, I don't know what you said. And then I was like, I would be like, oh, picking up the toys. I'd be like, I'd scream no, and I would run. And then like embarrassment came in and said something about like, you're doing this in front of everybody. And so like then my embarrassment kicked in and I was like, I didn't even ask for this play date. And then when you got to the iPad and you were like, I'll just give it away. I was like, I think at that point I'd be like, I would do whatever because I don't want to lose my iPad. I don't want to lose my iPad. Just whatever. I'll do whatever. Yeah, fine. I'll put it away.
Yeah. That's when we say fear-based parenting. Like that's what these methods induce is like they look like they're working eventually, except for Chelsea, right? But then probably when we got behind doors, maybe there would have been an even further escalation. Like there's probably more to go, more things that I could take away to get you into the compliance state. And then it tricks us as the adult because then we think, oh, it's worked. I have to get to this place to get them to listen to me, to get them to do the thing. And like that's activating. It's activating for me, even in here now, probably you listening, probably definitely Chelsea and Shannon who have done this exercise before. Like it's probably every single time I get triggered into this exercise, it all comes back up. So where was my focus?
The task.
And where was your focus?
Nowhere. Mine is just about being safe in that moment. Yeah, survival. Yeah.
Survival. Yeah, Stephanie says protecting myself.
That's what I thought, like getting as far away from the situation as possible, be that running away, be that retreating to my room, be that going to that space in my head where I just check out.
And I'd even venture to say that the adult here too is at here too. I don't know how to get you in the car. I don't know how to get you to do the thing. I've lost it. I've tried to be nice. I've tried to do all those things and just like keep my shit together. I've tried to be calm. It's not working. I need you to get into the car right now. I need you to go brush your teeth right now. I'm triggered into that. So now let's go into a new approach. Let's go into new ways. Let's start to see where now, if I change my focus rather than focusing on me and what I need done and that like I need to get them to do it, like instead of focusing there, how can I start to focus on connecting. So it's going to sound like, hey, bud, we're leaving in 5 minutes. What needs to go on your feet? Are you going to wear shoes today or no shoes? If you don't wear shoes, I'm going to put your shoes in my bag and you can put them on in the car if you want. Like, I just know that we're leaving in 5 and your job is to keep your feet safe. So let me know how I can help you. All right. Do you remember what happens after dinner and we play? I feel it's dinner, play. I feel like there's a couple other things and then it's lights out. What happens in between those? Any ideas? I know it's not your favorite part of the day. I know you don't want to do that because you don't want it to end. You love it so much. But what were those things that we do before? I feel like one involves your bed and maybe some stories and maybe some cuddle times. And I feel like one involves your toothbrush. Maybe we could do the toothbrush in the bed. That would be silly. Which do you want to do first? Hey, can I give you a compliment? I saw you sharing sand toys with those people that came up. And I saw that someone tried to take yours and you said, can I have my sand toy back? That was awesome. I am going to set the timer for 5 minutes. And then do you know what happens when that 5 minutes ends? Do you remember what happens? What's our agreement here? You're right. It is going to be lunchtime. And I know you hate nap and we're going to do nap, but what is it that we have to do first? How do we get from the sandbox to lunch at home? How do we do that? All right. I see that you've watched 95 shows today. Let me peek in that ear. Is that brain mush? Nope, it's not brain mush. Oh, you only watched 2 shows? Okay, what's our agreement about screens? You're right. You get 2 shows. When will you get to watch more shows? You're right, tomorrow. So what does that mean what needs to happen now? Would you like to do it or would you like me to do it? I know it's hard. I know you don't want to do it. I know this is the worst. I know you hate me. You hate when this happens. Would you like to do it or would you like me to do it? That was a hard decision. All right, let's cut it there. Chelsea, Shannon, what was that like?
It took my focus to, what kind of shoes am I going to wear? Or, oh yeah, what do we do after dinner? Yeah, like I know this. Or you talked about the toothbrush in the bed. I was like, this is silly. Like my daughter would have totally bit on that. She would have been like, that's crazy, Mom. And then it would have been hilarious.
I'm thinking back to the agreements that we made. And I'm feeling valid for not liking things. And I'm feeling willing to do things because there are clear expectations of, hey, I know you're having so much fun. I'm going to set a timer. And what do we need to do when the timer's up? Yeah, because we have agreements around these things. And we're not just going into it blind. We know what to do. So I'm doing it.
Would you say that you were doing it from a space of safety or threat?
Safety.
Because I feel like I had control in the decision making, like what kind of shoes, what do I need to do next? I feel like this would be hard to come at though. Like if we went through like the 1, 2, 3, and then to like come back, like if we like did this sequence, like if you took any of the like putting on your shoes, and yes, the first way, the second way, and the third way, and like so you went through all these sequences. I feel like if we didn't start with this, it would be hard to come back. Like it would be like if I was triggered and flipped, I think it would make it difficult versus if we just started in this manner. I mean, I still think it would help, but I still think like if I was screaming, and throwing my shoes, like, fine, give them away. I don't care if you throw my shoes away.
I think those other 3 are the progressions of the regular parent. And this one has a lot of pre-work done. This is minus all of those other steps. This is what you do in replacement of that. Because those agreements were made months, whatever, however long ago. Those were crafted together. Those are not just things that you make on the fly. Agreements for me are work done previously. Yeah, I don't think that those would work in line after going from flipped to going back to this. But I think if you go into it with this method, you avoid the other ones because there's work behind it.
I co-sign on that,
Yeah,
Chelsea.
Cosign.
Jinx.
Said the same thing. Cosign.
Now, Shannon, the question for you is, it feels disjointed, right? Because we were going into, it was escalating, and then able to de-escalate into this. When you say, what happens when I have to take a break? You're getting back online, and I say getting back online. This is what I'm speaking to, right? When things get so tense, and I don't know what to do, and we take a break and walk away, we're calming ourselves back down because we've realized that we as the adult are dysregulated. It makes this work inaccessible. So like what Chelsea was saying is that when we can focus here and start here and focus on the process, then we can set ourselves up for success because we don't need to go into those other areas. Telling a child what to do is not in alignment with positive parenting. Being nice and saying please is not that it's not in alignment. It's just it's not the only thing. Removing and being in tune with fear is eliminated. We can eliminate all that work, just like Chelsea said. But when you're beginning, it's easy to fall back into the old habits and get trapped into those. And at that moment, we pause, we take a break, we walk away, we regulate ourselves so that we can now enter into it with a totally new approach. The approach is not, how do I get my child to listen to? Because where's my focus as the adult? We've now switched focuses totally. Chelsea and Shannon, where was my focus, or where would you as the child say that my focus was as the adult?
On me, on the child.
Still on the task, but the child was included, was brought along instead of told.
Was I focused on the task per se, or was I focused on the process?
Process. Like there was a task to get done, but you were like, well, what kind of shoes do you want to put on? It was just more of a refocus.
Yeah. And Stephanie in the comment says, it's no longer taking me by surprise, right? Like the child is not caught off guard because the adult is not on guard. I'm going to open it up to anyone. Thoughts, insights, takeaways. If you've been listening, you can leave it in the chat, or any final thoughts, Chelsea and Shannon, on this exercise. Does it help illustrate kind of what we were talking about this morning and morning ritual, but then also gives you insights of like, when we focus on using and learning this approach, we can, just like Chelsea said, I think that was brilliant, eliminate all that other resistance.
I love this practice so much because that third, the flipped lid, gets a body response from me every time. Like I know being there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard.
Yeah. It takes time for me. That's why I give it always a trigger. I know that you in the comments said to say that this is activating is an understatement because it's big. It activates me while I'm doing it. Yeah, Shannon says, yes, it's amazing to see the child's point of view. And in this role, you then are on the receiving end, you then become the child. Now it starts to make sense. When they are responding to us in threat and when we are responding to them in threat, now it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. We are working as we are designed to work. And when we can upgrade the system, which is counterintuitive, I, as the adult, like you said, Shannon, yes, I know that the task is, I have trust. Let's say it in that way. I have trust that the task is going to get done. I know it's going to get done. That's no longer the question. Now my question is, how can I involve the child in it so that they have a sense of safety while doing it? And it's changing your approach versus shifting on, I need to get them to do the thing. I need to be task focused. I now need to focus on connection. And when I can focus on connection, it goes by so quickly. But in order to access this, again, like the point that you said, Shannon, is is the adult has to be regulated and do that work. So when I'm starting to feel myself shift into those first three strategies, when I'm starting to shift myself into being nice and being kind, when I'm starting to shift myself into yelling, when I've noticed that I've already reached there, that's the time to say, stop, pause, do not pass go, do not keep going. Take a break, slow down, put your lid back on. So then you can start to reconnect and do the work of realigning back into an approach that we already know is quicker and safe and powerful. I appreciate everyone who has been here on Zoom, maybe on Facebook. I don't know. I don't see the Facebook comments. Anyone listening on the replay that will be posted on the podcast, like, thank you for being here and thank you for doing this. I get charged in talking about this work because it's often sold as the product, and this work is not. It's process work, and it's hard. It's harder to say, hey, bud, I need to regulate, come back with fresh eyes and clear brain than going to flip lid status and start threatening. Yeah, it is harder when it's unpracticed, but when it's practiced, when we do the work to step on the path of practicing this, then this becomes so much easier. Now I'm attuned. Am I, as the adult, where is my focus? Am I focused on the task, or am I focused on connection? Do I lead with the things that you need to get done, or do I lead with understanding? And when I can do that, then it makes my job easier, because now I'm investing my resources better. And that's hard, because most of us were raised in the 1, 2, 3s. The 1, 2, 3 approaches, right? Direct, nice, or flipped. It takes work and effort and resources to enter into this approach. But when we have this approach, it feels so much better, because I now, as the adult, come on the other side, right? I've going all the way back to the meme. I'm like on the path, and I get to the end, and it's like, oh, great, amazing. So when we're thinking about this, reading it back to the original topic of the podcast, that the fantasy of a good relationship, your methods impact your relationship. And I just proved it now. The way that I show up as the adult, the way that I lead into it, the focuses of my attention, my own regulation, has impact to the child, has impact to their trust towards me, has impact on their sense of connection together. It's big work. It's hard work. It's activating work. But it's work that is well invested and worth it, because we know that the shoes are going to get on. It's just how are they going to get on? We know that we're going to leave the park. The question is how are we going to leave the park? Are we going to leave it in a state of threat, or are we going to leave it in a state of safety? Then how do we align ourselves to get that outcome? So in closing, let's consider, are you aware of your own focus when navigating through moments of struggle? Are you aware if you're focusing on the task? I need you to get this done. Come on, let's do it. Or are we focusing on connection, connecting to the child? In those moments of struggle, that's where positive parenting lives. That's where we exercise and strengthen positive parenting, is in the messy moments, so that we can go on the path and have the outcome of safety and security. That solid foundation together. If you've listened to this episode and you've taken notes, just as Shannon did, I love that you said I wrote them down. I love it. Way to go. I encourage you to share your notes, because I love to see them. I love to see your thoughts, your takeaways, your insights. I love to see the impact of my work and what it has in your life, in your relationships. And there are 3 ways to share. You can leave a review on Apple Podcast. You can share your thoughts and takeaways on social media, and you can tag me, and you can share your thoughts inside our dedicated post inside of our Facebook community, Positive Parenting with Megan Ford. Thank you for tuning in and staying to the end. My mission in life is to help support parents in feeling supported and empowered in doing this work. And if you're ready to take the next step, I encourage you to dig into emotional validation, which is inside of positive parenting ClassPass. Inside of emotional validation, this class will help you balance your parenting toolbox by helping you connect to your child in ways that help them feel safe, seen, and heard. To get started today, you can visit bekindcoaching.com/ClassPass. And as my free gift to you, you'll receive access to Raising Respectful Kids 100% for free. I thank you for being here. I thank you for staying here into the end. My work is to help empower parents to feel supported in doing this work. I know it's hard. I know it's scary. I know it's big. And I work to hold that space to make it feel safe to do, because I know that this work triggers a lot of threats. So I'm proud of you for being here. I'm proud of you for staying to the end, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Bye, friends.